I was recently asked, what is the greatest challenge facing pastors today? Caught me a little off guard because I couldn't identify just one challenge. Think about it. What are the greatest challenge that pastors or ministers face today? Lack of finances. Many of our pastors are bivocational. Lack of facilities or old facilities that need to be renovated. Lack of volunteers. There's just so many, right? It's a challenge pastoring today and trying to have ministry today. I recently, in a leadership journal, came across this section called Hard Calling, and it states the following statistics. 80% of pastors are discouraged in their roles as pastor. 40% of pastors seriously considered leaving the pastorate in the past 3 months. 50% of pastors say they are unable to meet the demands of their job and are so discouraged that they would leave the ministry if they could, but they have no way of making a living. For every 20 who go into the ministry, only 1 retires from the ministry. 25% of pastors have been forced out or fired from their ministry at least once. 45% of pastors say they've experienced depression or burnout to the extent that they need to take a leave of absence. Of 1,050 pastors surveyed by the Shafter Institute, every one of them, 100%, had a close associate or friend from seminary who left the ministry because of burnout, conflict in their church, or from a moral failure. 70% of pastors say they don't have a single close friend, and the same percentage say they have lower self-esteem than when they entered the ministry. Denominational health insurance agencies report that medical costs for clergy are higher than the average professional group. Wow. It makes you not want to be a minister when you read those. And yet that's what God has called us to be. How many believe if God calls you to be something, He can equip you to do it? Then what is the greatest challenge? Why are these kinds of statistics so prevalent in America today? I read something recently, it really caught my eye, and it stated, what do Peyton Manning, LeBron James, and Lionel Messi have in common? Any answer? Second place finishes. Manning's Broncos were crushed 43-8 in the Super Bowl. I know some of you are still recovering from that. The San Antonio Spurs handily defeated LeBron James and the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals, and Argentina, led by Messi, lost 1-0 to Germany in the World Cup final. Each athlete is also arguably the best player on the planet at his sport. Manning won the NFL MVP award last year. James won 4 out of the past 6 MVP trophies given by the NBA. And from 2009 to 2012, Lionel Messi was voted the top soccer player in the world. And he was recently named the best performer in the 2014 World Cup. But talent doesn't win championships. Teams do. And maybe that's why we have these statistics, that we just don't feel we have a team of people around us helping us. And when you feel you're the only one, you're feeling that you have to do it all by yourself, then I think you have these kinds of results spiritually, physically, and even morally at times. The function of leadership, Ralph Nader says, is to produce more leaders, not more followers. The key to health is building a team around you. How do you build a winning team? That's a good question. Well, I like to look at the example of Jesus when it talks about team building. And in Mark 1:16-18, notice these words. You've heard it before. As Jesus walked beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and his brother Andrew casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. Follow me, Jesus said, and I will send you out to fish for people. At once they left their nets and followed him. John Quincy Adams said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, become more, you are a leader. It's a true statement. A leader is someone who is leading people, because if you're not leading people, you're just taking a walk. So how do we build winning teams? Using the example of Jesus. If teamwork is how I believe not only to win championships, but how to minister today to others, how can we follow Jesus' example? Notice it says, "Come follow me." In other words, consistent living leads to personal integrity. Why would they follow Jesus? There was something in his consistent lifestyle, his personal integrity, that draw people to him. See, we can't lead people if we're not living consistently in personal integrity. Author and speaker Brian Tracy stated, "The glue that holds all relationships together, including the relationship between the leader and the led, is trust, and trust is based on integrity." They followed him because they saw something different in him. My question is, do people see something different in us? If they do, they will follow. But secondly, it says, "And I will send you out," Jesus said. In other words, a clear and compelling vision inspires others to action. Jack Welch proclaimed that good business leaders create a vision, articulate a vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive to completion. I mean, these people are compelling. Jesus said, "I will send you out." I mean, it says that they were fishermen, and they had been fishing all night, and yet he says, "If you follow me, I will send you." That clear vision, compelling vision, they couldn't help but say, I want to do something for Jesus. They were inspired to do something. They're inspired to action. I believe we have enough people in our congregations to reach our communities for Jesus. The problem is they're not doing anything. How can we inspire them to action? By having a clear and compelling vision. This is who we are. This is what God's called us to do. Now let's go do it. Jesus said, "Follow me, and I will send you out." Then he goes to say, to fish for people. In other words, a contagious positive attitude reproduces in others. He knew that if they went out with a compelling vision, that it would reproduce, because Jesus had that kind of contagious positive attitude. What made they think that they could follow Jesus? They were qualified. Matter of fact, later on it says, and these uneducated men that they marveled at, it says that the only thing that they had is that they had been with Jesus. Why? Because I believe that the contagious positive attitude of Jesus was being reproduced in the people that followed him. You give me a leader with enthusiasm, I'll show you some enthusiastic workers. You give me a leader who is depressed or negative, I'll show you some depressed and negative leaders. It was Bob Nelson who said, "You get the best efforts from others, not by lighting a fire beneath them, but by building a fire within." I love that. That positive, contagious attitude reproduces in others. Then Jesus said, "At once they left their nets." In other words, confront the problems with confidence and compassion. How were they going to survive? How were they going to make a living? These were fishermen. That was the only source of income. And yet they were willing to leave their nets. Why? Because they confronted the problem with confidence and compassion. They knew that if Jesus told them to go, that God would provide, and they were going to go not for themselves, but remember, for others. It's amazing when you take the focus off yourself and you put it on others, how God does not open the opportunities in our life. I think good leaders don't ignore problems, but they confront them with confidence and compassion. But then it finally says, "And they followed him." I'm convinced that if you challenge people, They're capable of greatness. That's what I want in my life today. I want somebody to challenge me to be great. Not that I'm just okay, not that I'll just get by, but challenge me to something great. Challenge to be a better husband, to be a better wife, to be a better mother or father, to be a better follower of Jesus. Jesus said, follow me. Take that risk. I think when we challenge people, they're now capable of greatness. Max Dupree said the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality, and the last is to say thank you. In between the two, the leader must become a servant. That's my prayer. Lord, help me be the kind of leader that can inspire people to want to be on a winning team. Thank you. You have made this a winning team.